Hi, anyone who's listening. This is a totally off the cuff, unscripted presentation. I'm going to pop over and change my screen to something so that I'm not staring at myself while I talk to you, because I think it's important, well, personally for me, not to be not involved with what I look like, or, that's not the important thing here. Or, I just want to be able to speak to you. So what I wanted to talk about was when I recently spoke to Cindy Niles, we were talking about whether or not there's a possibility that what we should do is offer amnesty to the people who are just doing what they're told. For ease, we refer to them as a kind of middle tier between the tyrants and the people who are having to sort of experience what's going on on the receiving end of the bottom tier. Um, and it was about whether or not, for reasons of, expedience or benevolence, we should be saying, listen, in a formal way, where you get to all the people who have any sort of profile, with regards to the resistance, if you like, coming together and offering wholesale together amnesty to people who have been doing things that they wouldn't otherwise have been doing if they hadn't been being squeezed from the people at the top, and also hadn't been conditioned, all their lives to come to this point where they would be actually capable of doing these things. Now, Cindy Niles's perspective was that, we really, really need to, to bring to people what is going to happen if they don't stop doing what they're doing, and realize that this is all going to lead to, smart cities, the metaverse, a reality which is no longer a reality as we know it as humans now, um, and that will destroy humanity. Um, and I get her point absolutely, but the thing that I have noticed over the last sort of, I would say 6 months, because for the first year and a half, I was very, very concerned with sharing information, and I still am, and I still think it's important, and I still think that it has a pivotal role to play in turning this tide. However, I've increasingly been wanting to know, rather than just what we can do to alert people, what is the alternative here? If we don't want people to have smart cities and escape from, their tortuous reality into the metaverse, for humanity never to be seen again, um, you know, we have to sort of find a way to, conceive an alternative to this, because they have this all mapped out and they've spent years working on it, and it's a plan and they're putting it into action, and it's unfolding, with the odd hiccup here and there, but they know what they're doing, and they do have a plan for what's going to, go on for humanity in the future. And what we need to think about is, okay, well, if we're not going to go along with that, what are we going to do? Um, and so Cindy came up with the metaphor at one point. She was saying, if you're in an abusive relationship, then, you don't get out of that without, recognizing the abuse, and moving forward. And somehow we got onto the notion that often what helps people move forward um, is not, necessarily recognizing the abuse in its entirety while it's occurring, but it's a love for something else, a preference for something else, whether that is another person or whether that is just a different life, being shown that there is a different way to live, and the desire to live that way, to live that difference, overtakes the desire to continue with what's going on. So I think that it's really, really important that, as well as sharing information about, how bad this is going to get if people don't stop, and talking as I would like people to talk about whether or not we can, be benevolent here towards people, and really understand that, people, I think, only do really awful things if, really awful things have occurred and they don't really see any alternative. And so, but the thing is, what is the alternative? What is the alternative, and how do we model that, you know, um, sufficiently, and quickly enough that, people, change their minds? And one of the things that was brought up was, I was saying, I've dug a vegetable patch with my children. Now, who knows what's going to come of it, in terms of, I don't know how well we will, how well we will be, how good we will be at it, where, first try. But I dug that vegetable patch because I have friends who are, gardening properly, and, have created a garden which is actually going to, which would allow them to be self-sufficient. And it was so inspiring. I tend to find that the people that I've met who do these things, who sow, who, cook from scratch, who have, gardens that would allow them to be self-sufficient, who are very informed about, how to be healthy, not just in body, but in mind. They are very, very enjoyable people to be around. I mean, to some degree, the way that we have all been brought up has really, really, developed, uh, uh, insecurity in us. We're very, very insecure. And so sometimes when you meet people who are this, uh, extraordinary, it flags up to you, all the ways in which you are not thus. And, you have to sort of be able to want to put that to the side and see what there is there to learn. And we've also been conditioned, to not to learn, to really sort of, have positions and defend them. And if other people are living differently, then to see that kind of as a judgment on us, and also a threat. And we really have to get beyond that, because, other people living differently, living differently is the only thing that is going to save us from this. Now, decentralization of government, and, self-sufficient, um, farming, on a small scale, being able to feed yourself, your family, and maybe have excess for your friends, for you to trade. That seems to me like something that, is, very desirable at the moment, but it does feel far away. It's very, very difficult to imagine how, trying to grow some vegetables for the first time in your life is, really going to change things. However, if everybody who was watching this, and, a lot more people as well, if people who were watching this talked to other people about what I'm going to say, and also if we could find a way to somehow, pass this information or this suggestion on to every single person who is resisting in some way, who isn't already doing it. If all of those people went out into their gardens and dug a vegetable patch and filled some pots, and did it with their children, whether that's at the weekend after school, or whether you're home ed and you can choose your time, whatever. I feel that, it would inspire the people around them, their neighbors, and, family and friends, because it's a really wonderful kind of little, it's a wonderful thing to do, and it's very rare that you would think that a person would see that someone had, potted a few plants, and was trying to grow a few vegetables in their garden, and that you wouldn't think that that was either a nice idea or a good idea. And if they were supportive of your wanting to try it yourself, and maybe even offered, to help, not necessarily to tell you how to do it, because that's hard on people, but just to assist you in any way that that person wanted. I think that would be amazing. Imagine if all over the world, in Australia, in the UK, um, Canada, the US, all over Europe, and obviously in other parts of the world that are not sort of decreed as being exactly Western. By the way, it's not a badge of honor, and I'm sorry if you know, it doesn't sort of encompass you. It's yeah, it's as I say, it's not a badge of honor, and if I haven't mentioned your nation, please don't feel that I have left you out for any reason other than my geography is not very good. Well, it's actually all right, but my ability to reel off cities kind of off the cuff is maybe not as good as it should be. So, you know, if everybody in the world basically who feels that what's going on is not right went out and dug a little vegetable patch and filled some pots, you know, we might start something. Um, and I'm wondering if rather than presenting everybody with how bad it's going to be, which I think people should continue to do. I'm not saying that you know, that that's not the right angle, but I'm thinking that, you know, it's not the only angle, and that we might be able to change hearts and minds simply by presenting people with a more pleasant alternative. Um, and so my kind of hope and plea in making this you know, the video that's got lots of ums in it because I'm just thinking out loud, um, is that perhaps we could start that movement. And so I put that out there to you, and I welcome your comments as well, and ideas particularly about anything else that could be done to present people with something that they could love more than what they're being offered. Um, and while what they're being offered, as I said, you know, people thought about it for a very, very long time. They came up with really detailed and intricate plans, and they know what the end game is, and they are well on their way to achieving it. So that's a pretty formidable enemy. However, I think that going out and planting some plants is actually, you know, has the potential to be so much stronger than anybody could possibly imagine, because it's very simple, but it is, you know, it is what we are. We are creatures that, you know, are, you know, originally we're in touch with the soil and in touch with how to grow our own food. And sometimes, you know, if you get, you know, you get an idea which is sufficiently simple and yet pivotal, then you can make a massive difference. So I put that out there to you, and I love you, and bye. Excuse me while I find Zoom again, so I'll be staring at myself again in just a second. There I am, and here I go. Bye.